The next segment is on 72-hour emergency kits. And there is a lot of information about kits. And what I did was try to find the easiest way that you could make a kit for the least amount of money. And I started off with just an old backpack. And I have two separate cans in here. And I'll tell you why I put them in cans instead of just throwing them in here. Keeps it a lot more organized, first of all. And second of all, you can actually use these cans for different things. Of course, you can store garbage in them. And I know it might be a little bit difficult, but they could be a little makeshift toilet if you had to. You can also fill them with water so you can wash your hands. There's all kinds of things that you can do with cans. So one of the cans has 72-hour food kit. And I've given some options on creating a healthier 72-hour kit of some things that you can replace, things like beef jerky for other food if you don't eat those kinds of things. And believe it or not, everything fit in here. And some people have seen these kits where they put an oxygen absorber in it, and then if you have access to a canner where you seal the lid on it, yeah, these things will last for 4 or 5 years. But what I did instead to make them last just as long is I vacuum sealed all of the food products so that I didn't have to seal the lid on there with a canner. And everything will last just as long. And then you don't have to worry about a can opener and trying to get that open, because these cans are a little difficult to open with a hand can opener. And so I like to just use an old can that I've opened up that's had some food in it. And one of these little lids, I snap it on. And there's a menu card in there, so you know exactly what you're supposed to be eating for your 3 days. The other can has water. And in some emergency shelters, usually the first thing you can get is water. However, in some emergency situations, you can't get water right away. And after you've gone without water for the first day, it gets pretty uncomfortable. And these little waters, I showed that to you in the very first segment on water, and these are a little bit more than 4 ounces. And these waters last a really long time. And what I like about this kit, which is, and I had mentioned this earlier about this water in particular, is that this can stay in your car and your water does not become contaminated if your car heats and cools and heats and cools. You do have to think about making sure that you have a pair of scissors in there to open up these things. And I just put a little thing of matches in there. And the reason I did that is because my kit is also going to have one of my portable stoves in there and one of my little sterno containers. So that way I can heat up some things if I needed to. Because in my food emergency kit, I have some hot apple cider vinegar and some tea. And it would be really nice to be able to heat that up. Another thing that I think is really important to have in an emergency kit, and there's a lot of room in here that you can put things in, is I like to have a solar-powered radio. And you could have a weather radio, but the reason that I like this type of a radio is that you can still listen to music and kill some of the boredom. The ones that are really nice is if they have headphones, especially if you're in a shelter and you want to listen to music and it's really noisy. It can disturb people that you're next to if you're playing a radio, and vice versa. So not only can you get the music, but you can also get emergency updates and find out what's going on. And these kind of things, not only will they charge with the sun, but they also have a hand crank where you can crank it up and create some power. And then, of course, you can put some batteries in these as well. The other thing that I like to have in my 72-hour kit, and I showed you this earlier, is one of my light sources. Okay. So the next thing that we're going to look at in our manual under the 72-hour tab, if you look at page 2, this gives you the instructions of how to make your kits and how to make your menu. And your menu is just on a little index card. And I just hand wrote it. It's nothing complicated. Okay, on page 3, you can use the same supplies and put them in a milk jug if you choose. It's just some extra information for you. You don't have to do it. On page 4 is where there's information that talks about evacuation kits for youth and adults. And there's on page 5, there's a list of different things that you might want to have in case you have to completely evacuate. And you want to make sure that you have those somewhere close to you, that if you did have to leave and somebody came on at your door and said you have 10 minutes to leave, you've got all of these things in one location instead of having to go through your garage, go through your workroom, and trying to collect all this stuff. You've got it all in one place, and it can be stored either in a backpack or in a garbage can or in some of those 5 or 6 gallon buckets. Have everything all together in one location. Really helps. Okay, so on page 5 is your youth adult evacuation kit. Page 6 is your infant toddler evacuation kit. And many people have all of this stuff. So it shouldn't cost too much to get these things together. But one of the things you do need to remember that children grow. And so you will have to update it within just a few months, possibly. Page 7 is just another list of a 72-hour evacuation kit. Just a little bit of variety, but I didn't want to give you too much information because it can get very overwhelming. So I just gave you a few options of creating your evacuation kits. On page 8, there's some information about how you can make some cards to identify your children in case you get separated from them in some way. And just some other information that can go in your children's evacuation kit about where they should meet with you, because children can get disoriented. Okay, page 9 is just a shopping list of things that you need to get for your kit. And page 10 just gives you the list of the things that are in this second option of your kit. And then page 11 is a basic first aid kit in case you don't want to go buy one. And it is much cheaper to make your own kit if you don't want to buy the ready-made ones that come in the little plastic container. One of the very first aid kits that I put together was from an old lunchbox that my son wasn't using anymore. And I still have it. It's a little Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle plastic lunchbox, and I still have it in my bathroom with my basic first aid items in them. Okay, that is the conclusion of the 72-hour emergency kit section.